Hey guys, what's happening? I'm NRFMatt, one of the owners of Poke Tutoring Center. So today's guide is basically going to be teaching you how to build solid teams in Advanced OU, which is probably one of the most interesting tiers and is also one of the most fun, in my opinion. I will also be making a guide on prediction and battle strategy in the future, but I think it's best if you guys tell me if you would like that or not. But anyways, without further ado, let's just get started. Okay, so basically the way I'm going to be doing this is I'm going to give you a list of 8 rules of just this team building list, which are really necessary when building an advanced team. And I'll also, after teaching you this list, just telling you the list, I'll basically teach you this method that I use to build my teams. But let's just get straight into it. Okay, so the Magic 8 list. Rule number 1. Have all the major common threats covered. Now, you might want to write these down since the list is pretty long. It's like 20 Pokemon. So yeah, get out that big notepad and just write them down. So the threats are Aerodactyl, Blissey, Celebi, Flygon, Gengar, Gyarados, Heracross, Jirachi, Metagross, Milotic, Raikou, Regice, Salamence, Skarmory, Snorlax, Starmie, Suicune, Swampert, Tyranitar, and Zapdos. Have at least one Pokemon that can both come in on and actually hurt these Pokemon. Certain Pokes are left off the list. For example, something like Dugtrio doesn't really have counters. You beat it in team building mostly. Likewise, Magneton isn't really something you can counter. Any special rule will deal with its attacks. Medicham is off the list as well, because virtually anything that will counter Heracross will counter Medicham. Anyway, those are the basic threats you need to know. Let's move on to Rule 2. Rule number 2. Resistances. Have at least one resistance to the major attacking types, and you might want to write these down as well. So, the major attacking types are Normal, Rock, Steel, Fighting, Ground, Flying, Water, Ice, Electric, and Psychic, and to a lesser extent, Fire and Bug. Those are the major attacking types in this generation. Certain types like Dragon that are huge in future gens don't really matter here. Likewise, Fire is a lot less popular than in future generations. Bug is usually found in moves like Mega Horn and HP Bug. Tyranitar and Flygon carry HP Bug, specifically for things like Celebi, since they generally wall it, because Celebi's just got great bulk. Heracross has the strongest Bug move, I think, which is Mega Horn. I'm pretty sure that's the strongest Bug move in this gen. Fire and Bug are less than the other types, but they're still more noteworthy than, say, Dragon or Dark. Okay, rule number 3. Spikes. Have spikes covered in one of the 3 following ways. Have a Pokemon with Rapid Spin, Magneton, or enough flying and / levitating pokes to where removing spikes doesn't really matter. 4 or more is recommended. Magneton only really deals with Skarmory and usually Fortress, but not Cloyster, and often they will get a layer up before you remove them. I'd say at least half of Spike's teams, possibly more, have a Ghost on them. Of course, some spinners can hurt Gengar, like Starmie and Claydol, so spinners are definitely viable and valuable. There are a couple of extensions for teams that don't really need a spinner despite being vulnerable to spikes. However, it's complicated and it's always safe to have one. Rule number 4. Weaknesses. No more than 2 weaknesses to the major attacking types listed before. No more than 3 weaknesses to anything, even if it's uncommon. The trio doesn't really count. It can't really take hits even if they're resisted or not, so its weaknesses don't really count. Likewise, some Pokemon have half weaknesses, if you will. For example, Celebi is weak to ice, but only kind of. A Swampert's Ice Beam only does around 1/3, which is more than nothing, but it's not major. And with the Carmines up, they do less and less. Rule number 5 is the most complicated one, so we'll save that one for last. Rule number 6. Sweeper. Have at least one Pokemon, more is okay, that can sweep a weakened team at the end of the game. Physical or special does not matter, but the Poke should have a setup move. Carmine, Dragon Dance, SD are pretty much the best options you can get. Basically a stat booster that helps you sweep. These moves should be raising attack, special attack, and or speed. Attack and speed, special attack, and stuff like that. However, something like Amnesia, Iron Defense, or Cosmic Power is useless because they won't really help. They raise defensive stats, which don't really help. You need to raise your attacking stats if you want to sweep. Yeah, just bring in that big toxic style, I guess. If you want to use Cosmic Power, Amnesia, Iron Defense. Rule number 7. Status Absorber. Have a way to absorb status. There are several ways to do this. A Pokemon with Natural Cure, Pokemon with Guts, Rest Talk, Aromatherapy and Heal Bell, and there's specific status absorbers such as ground types for T-Wave, Steel types for Toxic, Fire types for Will-O-Wisp, etc. Obviously, freeze cannot be played around, unfortunately. And finally, rule number 8. Hazer or Phaser. Have at least one Pokemon with Haze, Roar or Whirlwind. This serves multiple purposes: removing subs, resetting setup pokes, having an out against Baton Pass, forcing spikes damage, etc. Perish Song, Explosion and Self-Destructor are also other ways to specifically beat Baton Pass. Along the same lines, every team wants a way to beat last Pokemon, like Last Poke Curslax or Last Poke Carmine Suicune. Moves like Leech Seed, Perish Song and Explosion are great examples. Okay, now going back to rule number 5, the most complicated one. So you might want to take note of this as well because it's long, the longest one out of all of them. Game plan. Have a clear and cohesive way to win against both extremely offensive and extremely stall-based teams. Make sure each Pokemon on the team has a legitimate role against either. We'll do some examples right now. Dragonite Salamence. Versus very stallish teams, it's a sweeper. It can come in and do big damage things and get out. Late game, it can set up and end it. Against very offensive teams, you're more using it for its resistances and intimidate. It comes in and walls/scares things like Heracross and Celebi and sends them out. Another example could be Starmie. Against stall, it's a utility Pokemon. It's going to be removing spikes and not much else. Against defensive teams, you'll be using it to check other water Pokemon, as well as things like Mets and Flygon. In that match, it's more of a wall. Basically, with any Pokemon, you want to ask yourself how you'll use it in each type of matchup. If a Pokemon doesn't have a clear plan versus both heavy stall and heavy offense, I'd recommend changing it. Some vary less than others, like Blissey, but generally there is at least a slight difference. Really dedicated rules like Blissey and Blissey and Regice that are the only types of mons that are kind of an exception. That rule doesn't really apply to team building as much. It does to an extent. It's more like battling, but it does sort of apply to team building, so yeah. So that's basically the Magic 8 list, which is a great tool to help build teams, but it's useless if you don't know how to apply it. Now that you have the team building rules, I think it's time we moved on to the team building method. And I will be doing a live team building video basically showcasing one of my strongest Adv Ou teams using this method. This method is actually used by many other players around in the Pokemon community, and it is a good way to build teams. Okay, so 3 simple steps to build for this method. Okay, so step number 1. Choose a Pokemon or a concept to build around. Typically, it should not be a wall. It doesn't have to be a sweeper, but it should be something that has the ability to do damage and be a threat. Step number 2. Build your core. Now, for those of you that don't know what a core is a group of Pokemon, typically 2 or 3, that covers each other's weaknesses and problems. There are offensive and defensive cores. Offensive cores will cover all the common walls and defensive Pokemon and be able to remove them. Likewise, defensive cores will come together they'll work together to cover all the common threats. In advanced, common examples are Celebi and Swampert, Celebi, Milotic and Dugtrio, Tyranitar, Gengar, Fortress, and there are several others. Look at Celebi and Swampert for example. If you go back to Golden Rule number 1 and see how many pokes those two alone cover, you basically see that it covers 12 of them. And so basically, Celebi is amazing in large part because it contributes to both offensive and defensive cores at the same time. And when I said it covers 12 Pokemon, I'll basically tell you those pokes. So Aerodactyl, Blissey, Flygon, Gengar, Metagross, Milotic, Salamence, Snorlax, Swampert, and Tyranitar are all covered, and that's just from the 2 pokes. Additionally, Celebi and Swampert covers all the electrics. Electric and HP Grass doesn't touch Celebi, and Electric Move and HP Ice doesn't touch Swampert, so Zapdos and Raikou are also covered. So that basically covers 12 of the pokes, like I said. For an example of an offensive core, say you wanted to build around Juggernaut's elements. You would see that Bulky Waters and Skarmory rule it, so if we pair it with, say, offensive Zapdos with HP Grass, we'll have all the Waters and Skarm dealt with. It's this type of synergy that makes teams effective. So now you have the first two steps of picking a poke and making your core. It's time to finally move on to step 3, which is fill in the holes. This may mean adding a resistance, covering an uncovered threat, adding a spinner, adding a status absorber, etc. So basically pick your concept, build your core, then apply the glue to complete the team. Then you simply run your first draft through the Magic 8 list and see if you pass. If so, you're done. There are higher levels of team building, but this is just a basic solid guide to building a balanced, versatile teams that give you a shot in any matchup. So now I'll be moving on to the live team building session, basically showing you guys is one of my strongest teams in Advanced OU and how I built it. And it's got me into the top 10 in Advanced OU ladder many times. So now I think it's just time we got straight into it. So yeah, see you there. Okay, so if we go back to the team building, the standard team building method, you might want to write both of those things down because we're going to be using them in this video. So first off, we want to choose something to build around, just as like step 1 of the method of the team building thing. So there are a lot of things I've wanted to build a team around in advance, but I decided to build around Suicune, just because Suicune is one of the most bulky Pokemon in Advanced OU, and it can just take hits with ease. It's just amazing. And the set I'm going to be using is a Carmine set, but it's going to be a little bit weird. It's like a bulky offensive Carmine set. It's Carmine, Surf, Ice Beam, and as you can see we already have good coverage, but bulky waters like Vaporeon and Gyarados wall us, which is why I decided to run HP Electric. It can hit Gyarados better than HP Grass. HP Grass won't do anything to it. And I would use Roar, but like I don't want to get taunted by Gyarados, so that would just allow them to set up on me, and I really do not want that at all. But yeah, so it's going to be bold. The EV spread is max HP. It's like 8 in special attack. It's about 184 defense. And then I just put the rest into speed, and there's enough speed to outspeed Adamant Tyranitar, which is pretty nice, I guess. And excuse me. So we've selected something to build a team around. Now we need to make our core. So if you look at Suicune's checks and counters, you'll see that grass types like Celebi are a problem for it, as well as opposing Carmine users like opposing Carmine Suicune, Carmine Blissey, and just stuff like that. Now for those Carmine users, and also Celebi, so I decided to use a Carmine plus Roar Raikou, because Carmine plus Roar Raikou is a really good set. No joke. It just sets up on things, roars them out, and then sweeps. But as long as anything that's faster than you that can kill you, specifically Aerodactyl and Dugtrio, is out of the way, you could probably sweep. So the set I use is Carmine, Roar, Thunderbolt, and Hidden Power. Now this is kind of tricky because I run HP Ice, but you can use HP Grass for Swampert if you really wanted to. That takes some of the pressure off from one of the pokes I'm going to be using on this team. But yeah, so the spread is 40 HP. That's just standard on Raikou. Now I use 248 special attack, and you might be asking me why are you using 248? Why not use max? But the reason for that is, you see, 220 speed and then timid nature. The reason I do this is just because Starmies in Advanced OU don't usually run max speed with timid nature, and because it has the same base speed as Raikou, it will be hitting 352 speed with timid 216, and I use timid 220 to speed creep them and kill them off with Thunderbolt. That is pretty good, and that's a pretty good strategy in my opinion. But yeah, speed creeping is a really good. Yeah, speed creep is just amazing. But yeah, okay, so we now have our core. This just basically can deal with opposing Carmine users and stuff, but Blissies and such are still problems, just because if they carry Thunder Wave, that will just really screw us over. So we want something that can deal with those Blissies. And I decided to go with a fighting type, and we do have some options here. We have Hariyama, Medicham, Hammerchamp, and Heracross. in this case, yeah, like I used to run a Hariyama on this team, but I decided I wanted to go for more power, so I chose Metagame. And this Metagame is basically going to be a wall breaking set with a choice band. So it's choice band. It's going to be adamant nature, max attack. Choice band adamant with pure power. This thing just hits like a freaking truck, and I'm serious when I say that. And I'll put 20 into HP just so we can take a hit from Duck Trio. And then the moves. I use high jump kick, which just like 2 KOs almost everything in the tier. Just amazing. I use Shadow Ball just because it gets perfect coverage with high jump kick. Use Rock Slide just hit like things like dragons, like Salamence and stuff. And for the last move, I wanted something that could 2 KO Wheezing. Now I could go with Psychic, but nah, it didn't work on this set. So I went with Double Edge, because that 2 KOs with the choice band, adamant, pure power. It's just amazing. So if you take a look at the threat list, you'll see that we have Suicune covering Aerodactyl. Blissey is pretty much covered. Celebi is still a problem. So I want something that can take on Celebi. Yeah, some more. Now there are a couple of options here. Damn it, I can't even remember the team. My memory's terrible. Seriously. But fucking hell, can't remember the team, damn it. But oh yeah, that's it. We'll save the Celebi and the Swampert problem for later. So I basically I wanted something that could trap opposing Raikous. So, like if they're Combined Raw like ours, then that would just screw us over really badly. So I wanted something that could deal with that. So I went with a Choice Bandog Trio. Now the set is it's a standard Choice Band set, but it's kind of weird. And basically I use max speed with the Jolly Nature just because it hits stuff like that. Then I use 36 special defense CVs, then the rest into attack. The reason I use 36 special defense CVs is so it can survive an unboosted hidden power from Raikou, whether it be grass or ice or water or whatever. And then you can just kill it with EQ. It's just, it's a good strat, I'm not gonna lie. There are a couple of other ways to do this, like Callus gave me a spread that also, an alternative spread that could survive it, which I can't even remember, but it was similar to this. It was like 32 special defense, 20 HP, that's all I remember. It's the attack and speed I can't remember. But yeah. So it's EQ, Rock Slide, Aerial Ace. This just gets coverage and stuff. Aerial Ace hits Heracross. Since, yeah, Heracross is just such a powerful poke. It's like Metagame, pretty much. But yeah, Aerial Ace just KOs it because of the 4 times weakness. And for the last move, I chose HP Bug just so it could hit those Celebes. It won't KO, but it will still do enough to the point where like someone can finish it off. So yeah, you want to run the IV so that Dogshire will keep its 372 speed, which is 30 attack, 30 defense, 30 special defense. Okay, so now just looking at the team, Celebi is still, well, Celebi isn't much of a problem as it used to be, but yeah, we could still use something for it, but if you play correctly, you can beat it easy. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the Swampert problem. Swampert just walls the hell out of us, so we need something that can deal with that. And I wanted to use the grass type, so I decided to go with Celebi. And I decided to use another Carmine set, 3 Carminders. That's what brings the team's name Triple Trouble in effect. But yeah, so it's Bold Nature. The defense is 180. The speed is enough to outspeed and Jolly Tyranitar, then the rest just goes into special attack. And the set is Carmine, Hidden Power, Psychic. The Hidden Power is Grass. This is just standard on Celebi really, but yeah. Now I wanted something that would help me to outstall opposing Carmine users like Jirachi, so I went with Leech Seed, because yeah, it's really good, especially if there's like a Last Poke Carmine Suicune or Last Poke Curslax or something like that. Leech Seed can just outstall them and just give you lots of health because they both have high HP stats. But yeah, so this basically deals with our Swampert problem and like other bulky waters. It's our second bulky water check. So yeah, now we just about have the team, but if you take a look at the team now, you'll see that our team is weak to spikes, and our team can benefit from the spikes just because it forces switches a lot, from my experience. But yeah, there are a couple of options here. We have Fortress and Cloister. Now, I wanted to use Fortress just so we'd have like, because I mean it's always good to have a steel type on a team, and yeah, so I'm using spikes, rapid spin, EQ, and explosion. It's pretty standard. But yeah, explosion can also help with like last poke thingies like curse lacks and stuff. So the set I use is 240 HP, and I run enough attack just to KO Blissies with explosion, which has to be at least 220. Then I run 12 defense just so we have some form of defensive bulk. Then the rest goes into special defense, and we run Kev. And the item is leftovers. So yeah, that's basically that. We basically selected our Pokemon, built our core, which is pretty much these three, I guess, or these three. Yeah, the core is pretty big, but yeah. And then we just filled in the holes. So yeah, that is basically the team, and I will be putting a paste bin of the team so you can all try it out for yourself, because trust me, it is a strong team. It got me into the top 10 on the advanced AE ladder many times. I would have got like in the top 5 for like rank 1, but my luck is just my luck just loves me. So yeah, but yeah, that's basically it for the live team building thing. Now I think it's best if we move on to the threats. The biggest threats to the team are well, Gengar, Dugtrio, and Snorlax are the biggest threats. So like, and also Fortress kind of slows down the team's tempo, because I asked Callus what he thought of the team, and he said it was good, but Fortress kind of slowed it down in his eyes, and he suggested that I use something that could deal with Snorlax, Gengar, and or like Dugtrio. And there are some options, like there's Porygon 2, which beats 2 out of 3 of those. Those are Gengar and Dugtrio. Oh, and Snorlax also beats Snorlax beats just about all of them. But I am actually testing out a Regice in this slot, a cursed counter set, because I mean it smashes Dugtrio, walls Gengar, and with curses and counters or an explosion, it beats Snorlax easy. So yeah, I will, and like if I decide to change that, I'll probably mention it in like maybe, well, I'll probably like change it in the paste bin. I'll just put like the different sets or like pokes that can deal with them, just so yeah, you could try them out, see what you think. But yeah, so that's basically the live team building vid. I hope you guys enjoyed this vid. Feel free to, I will be leaving a paste bin in the description below, like I said, so feel free to try it out. It is a great team, not gonna lie. Yeah, so that's basically it. So now let's move on to the outro, I guess, and yeah, see ya. So that concludes today's guide. I hope you now understand how to build solid teams in the 3rd generation, and also get to know the metagame more. Leave a comment on what guide you guys would like to see here next, and we'll try our best to make that guide. So yeah, just basically doing what Somalia does, but yeah, I think it'd be good to do it on this channel, because we've never done it before. He never did do it on this channel before, and now he's quit, for those of you that don't know. So yeah, sad face. But yeah, until then, rate, comments, just leave a rate on this vid. You could sub, just comment on it, leave some feedback, and just see you guys later. Good luck with your battling, everyone. One Piece.